have left home in order for their children to get meat and bread.
Facts.
There are so many dehumanizing elements in the welfare system that we are concerned about removing.
Facts.
Ultimately, we are concerned about a guaranteed annual income.
Facts.
And the other thing I think it is very necessary to say is that everybody's on welfare in this country. And when it comes to black people and poor people, we just call it something else. When it's for white people and rich, we call it subsidies.
You hear? Welcome back to Monarch Smart TV, everyone. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for your boy. And while you at it, turn them notification bell and put it on all so you do not miss a content. Why? Because we be dropping them bangers that you don't want to miss. And for the rest of y'all old and new, like up the video. Go ahead right now. I ain't saying another word till you like up the video. Alright, that's enough. You all ready. In today's video, I want to know why the welfare system was designed to ruin black families. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So I need y'all to get y'all popcorns, get y'all drinks, get y'all spliff, get whatever y'all need to relax, put y'all legs up and enjoy this banger.
It's no secret, fatherless households are more common in the black community. A survey from the American Consensus Institution revealed that 67% of black children under 18 in the US live in homes without fathers.
Facts.
This is a stark contrast to white children, as only 24% of them live in fatherless homes. But it wasn't always like that. The black families survived generations of open racism, widespread poverty, and slavery. They lived through segregation and violence, and strong family bonds used to be the norm.
As of 1960, 2/3 of all black American children were living with both parents.
Yep.
That declined over the years until only 1/3 were living with both parents in 1995.
Facts.
So it's not the legacy of slavery that destroys the African American family.
It's the legacy of the welfare state.
Welfare. And I would not stop saying that. That's what they use to trick us. The welfare system, ladies and gentlemen. That's how they divided and break up a happy black family. You can't get no type of assistance if the father is inside that home. It doesn't matter if the father is working or not working. You not getting any help whatsoever. You have to get rid of that black man. Why? Why the family cannot get no help? Why the black man have to leave? And go do what? Put him out in the streets and then what? You see what I'm talking about? That's when Joe Biden and Clinton them came up with that crime bill. Flood the communities, the black communities with a whole bunch of drugs. So the black man have no choice whatsoever but to sell drugs and come up with that crime bill to prison them so they could take over our ladies and our kids and brainwash them. Why they working so hard to do all of this? Because what they have done to us in the past. So they trying to make things right, but they tricking our ladies. They know the man would not allow this after what we've been through. So they come up with a new system, government system, that could help black folks. But if the man is home, working or not, you not getting no help. It was no job. So it was a one-way deal. Get rid of your man and we will help you. Then we gonna put drugs in the community and force your man to sell drugs because he gonna want to compete to win his family back. And we gonna send him to prison for years. By the time he gets back out, he don't even know his family no more. He gonna have to start all over. That's when the Democrat Party already took over your household, paying their rent, and give them food to survive for the month. Not to achieve anything in life, just to survive for that month. And all you have to do to keep receiving this every month is just vote for the Democrat Party. That's it. And that's how welfare ruined the black communities and families.
Between 1890 and 1950, the marriage rate was much higher among black women than white women. A fraction of black children lived in homes without their fathers. But everything changed with the expansion of the welfare state. It divided the household and created a dependency on welfare. This kind of reminds me of what President Reagan said.
I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
So, what happened? What's the mechanism? Here is a detailed look.
You hear that? Yeah. You hear what Reagan said? The 3 terrifying words? It's the government trying to help, trying to take over y'all home. That's terrifying. You don't want to separate a happy home. No. No, sirree, sirree, sirree.
Welfare was a mean little business. It was designed to get people by in a pinch. Public assistance programs, like welfare entitlements, have been a part of American culture since the 1940s. Unfortunately, like in many other aspects of government institutions, black Americans were left out. In time, black people could also get financial support, but it wasn't easy. Mothers who applied for checks had to let social workers inspect their homes to see if their conditions were suitable for welfare.
Facts.
These workers also had to make sure no man was living in the house.
Facts.
But even if they qualified for support, the amount they received was meager and not enough to build a stable life.
Facts.
In the early 1960s, welfare was not yet common, even in the most impoverished black communities. In the decade that followed, the number of black people on welfare went up by 169%. They further increased by 30% from 1970 to 1975. In 1972, New York City, almost 1 out of every 6 residents was on welfare. A major portion of these households were black. Although black people were only around 1/10 of all Americans, they made up almost 50% of all welfare recipients by the late 70s. A recent UNICEF report showed that many children under 18 in America struggle financially, and African American children are nearly 4 times more likely to be in poverty than white children. Though the number of families receiving cash assistance has decreased since 1996, child poverty rates for black children in the US remain high. This outcome is not by accident. I studied the evolution of social welfare policies in the US from the New Deal to the 1996 reforms and found that these policies have been discriminatory from the start. And a lot of
Facts.
people can confess to that.
Facts.
This led many black families to fall into cultural and economic ruin. In a short period, healthy black people started relying on government assistance.
You hear they telling you these ain't coincident. These bills were planned. They know exactly what they was doing when they created these bills to separate these black families.
To achieve some level of normalcy, but within the city slums, that normalcy was impossible to get. Black children barely knew their fathers, and
Yes,
most
sir.
were raised by unemployed and unmarried mothers stuck in a cycle of poverty and modest paychecks. This marked a significant shift in black American history. The consequences were severe for the next generation. Let's start with the Social Security Act of 1935. It was introduced during Franklin Roosevelt's administration. It was designed to create the safety net in the country, safeguarding families from losing their income. It was viewed as a significant part of New Deal reform and paved the way for federal protections in the future, such as the Affordable Care Act and Medicare. This policy had 2 main parts. The first part had social insurance programs that provided financial support to dependents of deceased or incapacitated workers and Social Security for retired older Americans. The second part comprised means-tested public assistance programs, initially known as Aid to Dependent Children and later renamed Aid to Families with Dependent Children. In 1962, under the Kennedy administration, ideally, it was believed that as the overall quality of life in the country improved, more families could support themselves without needing financial assistance from the ADC program. Eventually, the ADC program would become unnecessary and gradually phase out on its own. But this posed a major problem for black Americans. Like any other component of the New Deal, the origins of the Social Security Act were deeply rooted in racism. During the 1930s and 1940s, black people had to deal with widespread racial discrimination in the workplace. They held low-paying jobs, often paid in cash and off the books. This made them ineligible for social insurance programs. The ADC program was an extension of state-run programs that supported widowed mothers, but mostly benefited white widows. The states decided eligibility and need, and since the separate but equal doctrine was in place, blacks were still excluded from fully participating. Jim Crow laws and the separate but equal doctrine led to a system with different services for whites and blacks.
The Jim Crow law. Black folks, y'all need to go do y'all research. Know what I'm saying? These just some racist discrimination against black people laws. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
But as we all know by now, they were far from equal. States made efforts to cut down ADC enrollment and costs. They proposed residency requirements to prevent blacks from the South from qualifying for the program.
Yes,
in
sir.
1935, there was a hearing on a bill, and the NAACP, an organization that fights for civil rights, expressed their concerns. Southern politicians wanted to exclude agricultural and domestic workers from the bill. This meant that many black workers couldn't get the support they needed. This exclusion would particularly affect black sharecroppers and cash tenants, who were already struggling to make ends meet. Even though the NAACP was highly against it, the Social Security Act was approved. That's why 65% of African Americans nationwide were not eligible for benefits, and an even larger percentage of these black families in the South were excluded from the program. In the 1950s and 60s, things got even worse for black families. Welfare checks incentivized single-mother households. And there was one rule that ruined it all. The man in the house rule. Black families have long been the victims of income inequality and bad government policies. The irony, of course, is that conservatives pushed black mothers to break their families to get welfare. Before 1968, many states and administrative agencies created and enforced the man in the house rule. This rule basically meant that if there is a working or healthy man in the house, the government can't help you. And they would go as far as to send welfare workers to visit the homes without...
You hear all that? Once there is a healthy man in the house, either he working or not, government system is not helping you. And they used, if they do helping you, or before they even start helping you, they come in to check up on you on a regular to make sure nobody's in the house. When it comes to a man being around, they want to make sure the kids don't have no father figure. They want to make sure the woman have no protection.
Warning to check if a man was present. If they found any evidence whatsoever, families lost their welfare benefits. Over the years, the welfare state started dissolving the family structure, slowly but surely. A man who can't get a decent job and provide a substantial income suddenly believes that his family is better off without him. So, if a man were to lose his job, he literally had to leave the house so his children could get government surplus peanut butter, beans.
You hear that? You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Huh? You hear that? And that's what was going on. They make sure they fire the black man. So the family have no choice. He have to leave the house because he can't stay in the house. If he's not working, he can't provide for the family. So now he have to leave his wife, his kids, and go and just go make go make ends meet somewhere else. That's crazy. How could you just... Yo, that's... To me, that's wickedness right there. There's no way you could come up with a bill that separate family. Separate the father from their wife and their kids. How could you? That's one of the most wickedest bill ever passed in history of passing bills.
And cheese. On the other hand, if either the woman or the man, or both, were irresponsible, they faced no consequences for their actions. And it was the taxpayers who ended up paying for it. These things aren't exact.
So you hear that? So they basically saying if the man and the woman is irresponsible, meaning careless, don't want to work, lazy, don't want to achieve nothing in life, they get rewarded for that. At least not the man. Because if the man is in the house, they ain't gonna get nothing anyway. But if they reward the woman and kids for not doing anything, but get rid of the man. Even if the Yo, they just want to separate the family. That's what I see. Because if the man is not working and no money coming in, why he gotta leave? Huh? The plan is get rid of him so they could brainwash the kids and the woman.
Exactly designed to keep the marriage intact. They are meant to divide people. The
Yes,
harm
sir.
done to the children was massive. Many
Yes,
children
sir.
experienced the hurt from broken families at such a young age. In 1960,
Facts.
just 33% of black American children didn't live with two parents. But by 1988, that rate went up to 61%. In that time, the proportion of black children born to single mothers rose from 23% to more than 60%. This is exactly why we can't judge government policies based on their ideals, but based on their results. And these results, well, left a ton of households fatherless. I mean, think about it. What would the result have been if this welfare policy had required the opposite of that? That both parents live in the same home and care
Facts.
for their children to receive
Facts.
government assistance.
Facts.
The welfare state did what slavery couldn't do. It broke families apart. And broken families fuel poverty. The structure of the family can influence the choices children make.
You hear that? Slavery couldn't even do what the welfare system did. The welfare system break up family. So you have to force to depend on the government. I don't even want to make this video too long, ladies and gentlemen. So ain't no need to watch any more of this video. We already get the main picture of what's going on. I already know all of this. I'm only doing this to enlighten the people that don't know what's going on. It's so much other facts behind this that I need to break down for y'all. But like I said, I don't want this video too long. But don't worry, folks. I got y'all. We gonna stay on this episode because I'm here. Each one teach one. And this is the Facts Show. And we gonna stay preaching and teaching the facts to each and every single one of y'all. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. So if you like content like this, please subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like the video so YouTube could send it out so we could hit the algorithm or something. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. You are ready. You are ready. You are ready. So peace and love. And we up out of here.